We've gone from getting desperate to being desperate.
Border rules taking a toll on manufacturing companies on this side of the border. They say they're losing millions, and worry calls for change are leading nowhere. Windsor-Essex stays in the red zone as concerns over variants grows across the country. Bit cloudy out there today, but it doesn't mean you can't have fun. Few boats on the river there here as we take a live look outside. 9 degrees right now. Colette Kennedy will join us with the forecast tonight. I'm Chris Hensing. Thanks for joining us. A Chatham eye surgeon will have his license suspended for 4 months. And much of the investigation centered on the doctor's treatment of one patient in particular, a man who lost his sight. With more, I'm joined live by CBC's Sanjay Maru. Sanjay, what exactly did this investigation entail?
Well, Dr. Chris Angema is the doctor at the center of all this. He was investigated by the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario. The group looked into concerns related to Angema's billing practices, patient communication, clinical care, and documentation, concluding his actions were, quote, disgraceful, dishonorable, and unprofessional. Among those was the treatment of a patient who lost his vision after Angema performed cataract surgery on him, but that patient says after numerous appointments, his vision didn't improve. His optometrist alerted Angema that the real issue at play might be glaucoma, but by the time Angema started looking into that, the patient says it was, quote, too little, too late. The college's disciplinary proceedings noted that Angema failed to, quote, recognize, diagnose, and arrange treatment for the patient's glaucoma. Now, that patient is legally blind. At this week's hearing, Angema agreed to a resolution settlement, including a 4-month suspension and cost to the college of $10,000. But because of that, the patient, whose identity is being withheld due to a publication ban, didn't get to testify at the hearing, a hearing he says he's been waiting for the past 3.5 years since he first filed a complaint to the College of Physicians and Surgeons. He doesn't agree with the resolution, nor the suspension, which starts July 1st.
My voice was stolen from me. I did not have an opportunity to even represent myself as a witness. The whole thing was 3.5 years of wasted time. And at the tail end of it, he gets a summer off. He'll be enjoying watching his kids play, his grandkids play. And for the rest of my life, I am never going to see my grandkids again.
Dr. Angema had a number of issues dating way back to in and around 2013, and those issues were continuing throughout. So I really struggle with how the public is protected with a 4-month suspension.
That lawyer says it's frustrating Angema has a buffer period before the suspension actually starts, and says the ruling is nothing more than a slap on the wrist.
Now, Sanjay, what does the doctor have to say about this? We reached out through his lawyer. What was the response?
That's right, Chris. We reached out for a comment about the doctor's treatment of patient A and if he feels any responsibility for the outcome. His lawyer responded by saying the following, quote, given that Dr. Angema is required to protect physician and patient confidentiality, it would be inappropriate for him to make any comments in relation to patient care and outcome. He also referred us to a lengthy message the doctor posted to the Facebook page for the Angema Eye Institute. While he didn't refer to patient A specifically, he acknowledged the suspension and said he accepts the outcome of the investigation. Quote, I've always tried to be the best doctor I can be no matter what. I understand the important work of the college in striving to protect the public and to maintain the integrity of the medical profession. I'm sorry to say that they have not found that I did not, that they have found that I did not always meet college standards, so I'm being disciplined accordingly. I accept what has happened and I'm accountable for the outcome. He goes on to say that because his suspension starts July 1st, the clinic will be booking as many appointments as possible before then, including more than 600 cataract surgeries, as he puts it, to minimize any potential inconvenience for patients. In the meantime, patient A also has a civil suit against Angema, which he launched a few years ago, and that's still pending.
Thanks for Sanjay. CBC Sunday Maru live tonight. Frustrations continue for companies in Windsor-Essex that do work in the United States. Companies are worried that the rules in place at the border are causing them to lose millions of dollars in contracts. They're asking the federal government for help. One local manufacturer worries the plea is falling on deaf ears. Laval Tool & Mold has been in business for decades. Last year, they made a big shift in production.
At our own company, we were making N95 masks. We made hospital beds. It was tough. It wasn't fun. But most of us were able to pivot and make it work.
That's over now, but returning to normal has proved frustrating. Enhanced border security measures have brought confusion around who exactly can cross. There's exceptions for certain essential workers, but uncertainty around who can cross without quarantining is creating new challenges.
We've already lost a third of our business. We've already lost probably $5 to $7 million of business already. But the whole industry is in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
A local task force is taking this to the federal government, boasting about the low number of COVID-19 claims and asking for clarification around those essential crossings.
They can't afford to interrupt their supply chain and the flow of goods any longer. This government says it wants to build back better. To these business owners and their workers, it seems more like build back never.
The interruptions, as a party says a few members of his team need to cross into the United States, visit a plant to demonstrate a product, then come back home and be allowed to work the next day. American companies want the same access when absolutely necessary, says as a party. A spokesperson for the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness says they're listening to calls for action and providing clarity on the rules, adding that, quote, decisions on admissibility are made by border services officers based on the information provided to them at the time of crossing. The local Liberal MP says government is working on a solution daily, but he adds health and safety remain priority number one.
We are in the process of reviewing and looking at those measures, constantly assessing those measures to see how we can improve them. But we're always going to be guided first and foremost on public safety, on protecting the health and safety of Canadians and cross-border communities like ours. And so that's the reason why it's taking a little bit of time.
As a party says his company doesn't have time to wait.
There has been zero support from their side. Have they been attentive and listened to us? Yes. But I think at some point you have to stop listening and do something. And right now they're not interested in doing anything. They just keep sending us the same information.
Windsor-Essex and Chatham-Kent are staying in the red zones for at least another week, even though Windsor's medical officer of health says that the region's numbers are getting better. Let's take a closer look at things here. 16 new cases reported today in Windsor-Essex. Our weekly case rate per 100,000 is 38.1. That's now within the criteria that would be needed to move into orange, but our percentage of test results that come back positive right now, 3.5%, too high for a move. In Chatham-Kent, they saw just 7 new cases today. There's another change to the local vaccination rollout. As of today, if you are 70 years or older, you can book your COVID shot at a mass clinic. The health unit says about 25% of those between 70 and 74 have already had their first shots, mainly through that pharmacy pilot project. On Wednesday, a 5th vaccination site will open up in Amherstburg. That's going to be at the Libro Center. Now, the province wants to see farm workers vaccinated when they arrive in Canada. People have already started to arrive here in Windsor-Essex. Dr. Wajid Ahmed says the health unit is involved in those discussions and looks forward to seeing how the province plans to make this happen.
We have raised these concerns with the provincial government as well as with the federal government too, that these workers need to get the vaccine in a timely manner to protect them because they live in a congregate setting with a high potential of COVID transmission, and especially with variant of concerns bringing in from different region, it is a concern.
Today it was announced an entire department at St. Clair College is in self-isolation after a staff member tested positive for COVID-19. The college says this was an employee who worked at the main campus in an administrative department. 12 staff members will now work from home as a result. The school says these employees do not interact with students. The health unit is also investigating. New federal modeling data shows that daily cases of COVID-19 are on the rise again, and it's thanks to the emergence of new variants. Here in Windsor-Essex, we've been seeing an increase in variant rates since February. 55 variant cases in total, 20 new cases in the last couple of weeks. Healthcare workers in Ontario, they're concerned by the overall rise in numbers and by the severity of those variant cases. Lauren Pelly has more.
As the weather gets warmer and more people gather and mingle, CBC News has seen new data on variants in Ontario that might make all Canadians stop and think. An analysis from Ontario's COVID-19 Science Advisory Table found being infected with a variant means a 60% increased risk of hospitalization, a 100% increased risk of being admitted to an ICU, and a 60% increased risk of death, all compared to the original strain of this virus.
So you're more likely to be admitted to hospital and to potentially die from the infection, regardless of your age.
While Canadian seniors and long-term care residents are gaining protection from vaccinations, medical experts warn many younger adults working in the community remain vulnerable.
Now we're seeing many more people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s with pretty severe disease.
Thankfully, your personal risk of dying remains fairly small, so getting infected with a variant only increases your overall risk of death slightly. But with thousands of new cases every day, that adds up fast. The rough death rate in Canada right now is about 2.4%, or 24 people out of 1,000, and a 60% increase would mean around 38 people out of 1,000 dying instead.
Strong wake-up call that we're just having right now.
The head of Ontario's Science Advisory Table warns if serious COVID-19 cases keep rising, it will have a ripple effect.
Our healthcare system being overwhelmed will play a big role now in the coming days or weeks.
That prompted a warning about provinces loosening restrictions too soon from Canada's chief public health officer.
As soon as those variants take hold, things could escalate. So ease anything, and you have to be really thoughtful about it at this point in time.
In Ontario, that decision rests with Premier Ford's government, with no major changes or restrictions announced just yet. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Windsor's minivan factory is shutting down once again. Again, it's because of a shortage of microchips. The local union representing workers says the shutdown is going to last 4 weeks, that factories that supply the assembly plant will be closed as well. Last month, the plant was shut down for 3 weeks because of a similar shortage. The union says the timing is terrible, especially with Easter weekend around the corner. Stellantis says it's working closely with suppliers to address the supply chain issues. And Local 444 is also bargaining with management at a Leamington auto parts plant at this hour. The union trying to avoid a strike at the Ellen Killinger plant. The deadline, midnight tonight. There are 130 workers at the plant. A union spokesperson tells CBC News that a ratification vote will be held Sunday if a deal is reached tonight. The recognition of Emancipation Day nationally is being applauded by Windsor's Black community. MPs voted this week to mark the event each August 1st, and it marks the anniversary of when Britain's Parliament abolished slavery. As Dale Molnar reports, there's hope that the formal designation will bring more attention to annual celebrations here.
Emancipation Day celebrations have been off and on in Windsor since 1967, when the last of the big events were held. Back then, there would be a large amusement park and parades. Smaller festivities have been held in Lansbury Park since 2014, but were canceled last year due to the pandemic.
COVID has actually given us a time to sit back and reflect on what have we gotten right, what do we need to do better, that sort of thing. So emancipation is not going to go away. It is only going to get better.
But Jones says it takes months of planning, so because we're still in the middle of the pandemic, this year's event has also been canceled. Jones and the president of the Essex County Black Historical Research Society are hoping the federal proclamation will spur more interest in the celebrations when they do return.
I really hope that it does pay off in terms of the public having more interest in Emancipation Day, in terms of people wanting to participate and recognizing the importance of it. And if that adds up to more people enjoying the celebrations, that's a great outcome.
The celebrations in Windsor will return next year, but Jones says it will take a while, if ever, for them to become as popular as they were in the 1950s and 60s.
In the meantime, we're not willing to go year after year without having a celebration, a recognition, a reminder, a chance to educate the community on the emancipation, the ending of slavery in the British Empire, and thereafter in the American colonies, states. I would expect that we're going to pick up exactly where we left off. 500 people in one day. I think that's wonderful. It's taken a while to build it up to what it is, and I don't see regressing whatsoever.
Jones says the celebrations will continue to be held on the first weekend in August. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
If you're out on the road this weekend, you might get a glimpse of something like this. The Canadian Army doing some training in the area, so we'll have some military vehicles up and down the major highways. 401, EC Row, Highway 3. Soldiers are going to stay in their vehicles for the most part, only be carrying unloaded personal weapons. The public is being asked to be careful when approaching those vehicles. Our live look outside here as we see some folks enjoying the Riverfront Trail. Quite a little bit of a storm there yesterday. Some flashes of light and a little bit of rumble action as well. Colette Kennedy is going to join us next to see if that storm carries into the weekend, any of that rain. March Madness continues tomorrow, the NCAA basketball tournament, now in the final 16 teams. Maurice Kalu, part of the 12th seeded Oregon State team, a Cinderella that's busting some brackets up this year. He grew up in Windsor, played ball at Catholic Central High School, and I caught up with him ahead of tomorrow night's game to see what this tournament's been like so far.
Kalu, three, got it! Oh, he's a flamethrower!
Hi, my name is Maurice Kalu, playing at Oregon State University here in Indianapolis at the March Madness tournament. It's been a dream come true. I've been dreaming about this ever since I've been playing basketball. It's all I've dreamed of, so words can't really explain the feeling right now, but it's definitely a blessing.
Really ought to consider guarding Kalu.
It was good. It put a smile on my face. I was able to have both of my brothers out here to watch my game, so it was an amazing feeling. My friends were were in the stands as well, and you know, they're just telling me that they're living their dreams through me, and it's just something that we all dreamed about growing up playing basketball. Windsor is, you know, it's my home. Growing up there, it treated me well. Me making relationships with a lot of basketball coaches out there, such as Kuzamano. He really played a major part in my basketball career growing up. It just, you know, it just makes me grateful that there are some people that still remember me from when I was a kid.
Pac-12 tournament champions. Kalu from outside, right between the eyes.
From teachers reaching out to me, my third grade teacher reached out to me. I felt like it was really, it was good. It gave me goosebumps, and you know, it just put a smile on my face, and I appreciate things like that.
We bring in Colette Kennedy now. Kalu went to the same high school as Michael Mulder, which last year joined the Golden State Warriors in the NBA. It's just, isn't it great to see just the success? People playing at the highest level and coming from a city like this, eh?
I just love that, and I am cheering for them, but I will tell you, they were kind of part of my busted bracket. And really the only reason is they didn't do the damage. It's just, in my mind, I'm from Kansas originally, so I always take KU. They're my favorite team all the way. And that's who Oregon was supposed to come up against soon, but that's not happening, of course. I'm glad they made it, though, into the Sweet 16, and I will tell you, I did take them past Iowa, so at least I knew that. I knew that much. Let's see how far they can go. It'll be nice to see that for a local athlete here. Let me show you what's going on here and get into your weather for you. A dry day ahead for Saturday. This is a good thing. Well, I mean, it depends. I know we need some rain, but we've had some, right? But Saturday evening and into early Sunday, we're going to see more rain coming in, and there'll be a break, and then we get a little bit on the backside too. But then we'll be clearing out Sunday into the latter part of the day. A little bit breezy that day. Current temperatures, this is what they're looking at. I know, cooler than what we had been seeing, but still into those double digits. Still got quite a bit of cloud cover. And not only that, some low-level stratus cloud tonight. That's some fog. And some of that development may be just a little bit, you know, hanging in there tomorrow morning. It's going to be a bit stubborn in areas like Chatham-Kent towards London. Windsor will get some sunshine, and then later clouds will start to push back in for you. So just kind of know it's a split in terms of how the day is going to be on Saturday, but I did say dry. Saturday looks like late evening. This is 11 p.m. before this next system works its way in. Then we'll get some of the heavier rains. There's a break in the precipitation, and then, like I said, on the backside, a few showers are going to be possible as well. Some cooler air will eventually move in, but not that much cooler. Tonight, though, it's going to be a difference with lows 0 to 2 degrees. Tomorrow afternoon, enjoy the sun when we have it, 14 degrees. And then as we're looking ahead, as we go towards Sunday, there's the wet weather. And look at Tuesday. We're going to have a spike then. I do want to mention we'll get that clearing Sunday night for our worm moon. Farmer's Almanac here. Different reasons why we call this first full moon of spring the worm moon. But one theory is that with the ground warming up, the earthworms start to come up.
Guess that makes sense. Sunday night. Sunday night.
You know, it's a Farmer's Almanac.
Hey, there's a lot of interesting things.
I will take that explanation.
Yeah, it's been right, it's been wrong, but it's been right probably more than it's been wrong.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't even think I can follow that.
Neither can I. We'll let you get out of here, though. It's a Friday, Colette. Go enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Oh, my. Up next, we love our vehicles here in Windsor, and so we're going to take you out for a look at a Jaguar that was brought here for a pretty specific reason. There are now more than 200 ships parked waiting to get through the Suez Canal. Crews continue to struggle to refloat one of the world's biggest container ships that ran aground in the canal earlier this week. The 400-meter-long Ever Given has been wedged across the canal since Tuesday. We've been showing it every day. These pictures are incredible. The 200,000-ton ship lost steering in high winds during a sandstorm. There's tugboats that have been unable to drag it into deeper water, so now crews are using specialized dredging equipment to try and remove the sand from around the ship. Optimistic estimates say it could be another 5 days before this vessel's refloated. This canal is a vital waterway linking Asia and Europe. About 10% of world trade passes through that canal. An English man in Windsor was feeling homesick. He and his family arrived just a few months before the pandemic struck. So to deal with the feelings of isolation, he decided to bring a piece of England to Canada in the form of a British-made automobile. A 1995 supercharged Jaguar XJR, to be precise, complete with a steering wheel on the right side. He spoke with CBC's Mike Evans.
The chances of me buying this vehicle in the world, I'm not a rich man. I don't have a job. I've just literally got my work permit for Canada. So I'm looking for work at the moment. I was actually a little emotional when the guy actually said, "I'll let you have it." What I had to do was I had to get it to the port of Southampton in the south of England. So they arranged the transport from the guy's house. They drove her onto the boat, and from Southampton she went straight over the Atlantic and into Halifax, Nova Scotia. And she drove off and she went to a local yard and ready to be put on a truck. The Jag following that I have on the group online, they really are rooting to see this car go along the Canadian-American-US border, you know, just to see what the reaction it will get. And we made a quick decision to come to Canada due to my working contract. We were planning to come anyway, and we saw a window of opportunity to come to Canada. The shock of moving over left me very homesick. I was not allowed to work. I was here on a visitor visa with implied status. Not working, and with a pandemic hitting the world with a shock, it just makes you think all kinds of things. What can I do? Where shall I, you know, it really confuses one. So I saw a Jag I'm always watching, and I thought, you know what, I miss my car. So I thought, right, let's get me a Jag to remember home. It feels so it can feel like normal again. So when this car turned up and when I drove it, it felt normal, you know? Life felt normal. I felt like me again, you know? You take a lion out of the jungle and put him in the zoo, you know, they say his eyes will glaze over, but you put him back in the jungle, you know, he gets his old reflexes back.
You take a jaguar out of the jungle.
I'll take a jack.
Love the passion there. The excitement as well. Certainly enjoys that ride. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media as well. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.